Well, I'm Ross Chapin, and I'm so glad to have you here. I've been involved in creating pocket neighborhoods, both designing and planning and building for nearly 20 years now. And the idea of a pocket neighborhood is small groupings of individuals, households coming together around a shared commons. In this case, we've got a lovely garden as the commons, and but it also might be a shared alley. It might be even a very simple pedestrian street. What we've gotten here is this is the 3rd Street Cottages in Langley, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest. And what we have done, it was initiated by a zoning ordinance that allows for double the density of houses in any residential area if the houses are limited in size to under 1,000 square feet, if they're oriented around a shared commons, a garden, and 2 and 3, if the cars are corralled and not being obnoxious to the surrounding neighborhood. So given that, we're allowed to have more houses on 4 lots. We had 8 houses on 4 lots. What we realized after it was created was that there was a tremendous market that was untapped. People who want to downsize, who want to live in a proximity to, they want to know their neighbors. And that is empty nesters, single parents, people getting started, far more than most of the houses, most of the population that would typically, the only option they have would be family-sized houses. So that's what we're doing here. The pocket neighborhoods, the idea is the scale of sociability. The people that we relate to on a daily basis. How many would that be? Would it be 50, 20? I've determined that it's more like 6 to 8 nearby neighbors that we can relate to easily. So if you've got a larger development, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 pockets, depending upon how big the development is, rather than a huge park surrounded by 30 or 40 households. There are many, I call them patterns for community that we design in. Some of them have to do, as I mentioned, about the clusters of a dozen. That would be a key pattern. The idea of a common space at the center. The idea of if you've got community, to have community you need to have privacy. And to have privacy, we really look at how, take a look at this house right over here. You've got the active part of the house, the sunny side, when it is sunny out, facing south. And the north side, if you can swing around here, there are no windows looking onto the next door neighbor. And so when you wake up in the morning and you open the curtains, you don't have somebody up, surprise, look at you. So nested houses, all the houses dovetail together one to another. And so you can be quite close together and yet have privacy. The other piece that we've worked with is the layers of personal space. And so between the shared commons that we're in, there may be a low hedge through here and a fence. Now I could step over this fence, and at the same time it marks the layering. Inside there is then the private yard. We've got the porch with the flower boxes. These aren't just cute, but they're a way for personal expression, but a way for another sense of layering. It's interesting, with this house we are probably 5 feet to the porch, and yet there's a sense of privacy here. The porches themselves are room-sized, and so they're an extension of the home. The layering goes inside the house, where the active portions of the house are forward and facing the commons, and the private part of the house is farther back and looking at its own private little garden, or in the rear, or it might be up above in the house. So those are some of the key patterns that we work with in designing, whether it be a group of small cottages or it might be a pocket neighborhood of larger homes.